57. Come on. Wow.
Okay.
I don't know where Dr. Wallace is.
They were in the office.
Okay. Well, we can start sort of without it.
Okay.
Thank you.
I get to sit next to you.
Yep.
Well, I was moved.
You were moved.
Yeah.
I had to carry my brown to see where I put anybody's.
No, I was getting my foot over the side of the table here.
You've never been? Yes, you have.
This is roughly 21.
Oh, yeah.
It is.
Yeah, but it was way down there.
I wore myself out this weekend.
Can we get out of here early? 'Cause
Okay.
I'm hungry.
I call the meeting to order. Could we have the roll call, please?
Present,
Archie,
present.
Baronis. Present. Bolin,
Present.
Gathing,
Present.
Johnston,
Present.
Verrett,
Present.
Williams.
Okay, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, you arrived just in time, Dr. Wallace. Moving on to the superintendent's report, the area of instruction.
Do we know if it's set up or no? Okay, so there's been some questions about academic concerns for the district. So there was some data, particularly at the high school, that I thought we could present. One of the things that I've done since I've been a superintendent since 2008 is rumor busters. And so partially this is about rumor busters, but I think more importantly is to make sure that we go back to where we were to figure out where we want to go for the next 5 to 10 years. And so I'm going to start with the 2012, the graduation rate from the class of 2012 to the current class or the previous class of 2023. The class of 2012 had a 55% four-year graduation rate and a five-year 62% graduation rate. So I want to explain four-year versus five-year versus six-year. No school district, if they have students that go on to transition, will ever have a 100% graduation rate. There was a student, it's called the Brittany Booth Law, I believe, from Lyons Township High School that actually had a lawsuit stating that, well, the result of the lawsuit was at the end of the 4 years that a student with disabilities is in the high school, they receive a certificate of completion. They do not receive their actual diploma until they exit high school. The rationale for that is that once they receive their actual graduation diploma, they're no longer eligible for services. So just to give you an idea of what each of these rates mean, there's no way, if you have a student that's going on a transition, that you'll ever get a 100% graduation rate. The five-year graduation rate is those students that did not graduate within the 4 years, what percentage of those students graduated in the fifth year. So, and then the sixth-year graduation rate is those percentage that didn't graduate within 4 years or 5 years, what percentage of them graduated in 6 years. For example, a student with a disability, for example, my sister graduated with me when she was 21. I graduated when I was 17. Now, of course, the Brittany Booth Law wasn't in place at that time, but technically, when she graduated with me in 1980, blah, 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 she would have been a 1986 graduate. She would not have been a graduate for the year that she actually completed her time at the high school and went on to a transition. And so as you can see, from 2012 until 2020, where you see red, which is when COVID started, March of 2020, our graduation was steadily going up from the original 55% graduation rate. We did take a dip in 2017, 2019, 2021, and 2022. In 2023, this is our estimated four-year graduation rate. And then for those students that stayed on with us a fifth year, we're thinking 64% of those students will have graduated. For those students that stayed on with us a sixth year, we're thinking that we would have 80% of those students would graduate, or almost 80% of those students would graduate. So the important thing to remember is that competency-based education, there's no limit on time. And so we do have students that are staying longer because they're only finishing their competencies to graduate. And then the other thing that you have to remember is that each year, those students that didn't graduate the previous year are considered in that cohort, and we take the percentage of them that would have graduated. So, for example, 100 students graduate, or should have graduated in class of 2023. 50 graduate, 50 don't. That's a 50% graduation rate. The following year, the baseline is those 50 students that didn't graduate, and then we take the percentage of those students that graduated in the fifth year. Are there any questions about that?
So no longer do we use what comes over as freshmen? They don't use that in the percentages anymore?
The original cohort is for the class of 2023, when they were freshmen, that was the original cohort for that four-year graduation rate. It starts out when they were freshmen, which I can't remember what year was that, 2019, 1920, they would have been freshmen. So they come in as freshmen, and you keep that cohort until they graduate.
But
Am I correct in that? Yeah.
I think the only problem that we've had with that over the years, what the problem I think everybody has with that every year is if when they leave, if we have somebody, a freshman that comes in and he stays a year and he leaves, or a number of freshmen start here and say 25 of them leave, that's still in our number. Am I correct?
I think that can be cleaned up in the data every year. Janet Jarris is in charge of our data at that level of detail, and I would have to ask her. We just have to know where they went, so we have to code them properly. Now, that has been a problem in the past where every student wasn't coded properly in terms of where they went when they left us. Want to add anything to it?
So I did speak to Janet about that particular problem, and she can work with high school staff to make sure that when they exit, she checks their exit codes, that we're exiting them out where we know we can follow their data and making sure that that's cleaned up on our.
So the students are assigned an ID that follows them throughout the state. Now, it doesn't follow them out of state. And so they just we have to code them properly. I know in the past, students were not coded properly, but I think that's been cleaned up.
Ms. Ferret, did you have a question?
No, I didn't.
Anybody else with a question on this? Thank you.
So the one thing that I do want to point out is when I was first hired, the Kankakee Economic Alliance hired a young, I'm going to say young lady named Susan Emmerich to support increasing our graduation rate. So this was a problem that was identified that I needed to work on in 2014. We have worked on it, and I think that as you can see, had COVID not hit, we were on our way to increasing our graduation rate significantly. The next thing, well, that's another, just kind of identifying the change in the graduation rate over the years. And you can see that it's trending upwards, except around COVID, it trended a little downwards, but we're on our way back up. And here you can see the impact of COVID on our graduation rate. In terms of enrollment in the high school, you can see that the enrollment is trending upwards. Around 2012, we were a little bit above 1,200 students. We dipped just a little bit in fiscal year 2014, but now you can see that we're trending upwards. We're looking at eventually being above 1,600 students at the high school. I do want to make it clear that during the renovations, we were hovering between 1,100 and 1,200. We anticipated possibly getting to 1,300. When we renovated the high school, we did not anticipate that we would reach 1,600 students. There are a few reasons why we're trending upwards in terms of enrollment. One is, as you can see, Jenny Way presented this data around, I think it was about a year ago, that the cohort of students from 5th grade to 9th grade, we used to lose about 20% of those students. Beginning around the class of 2024, we went into single digits, and then we've been maintaining in the single digits our students between 5th and 9th grade. And so we're not losing as many students. Another reason why we're trending upwards is that we have a number of students that are moving into the U.S. that are Spanish speaking, and not just from certain countries, from a variety of countries. And then the other reason is that we're maintaining our students so that our students are not leaving without a high school diploma. They're staying for the 5th or 6th year in order to get their high school diploma. So we're maintaining students past the 4 years. We're maintaining students between 5th and 9th grade. We're not losing as many students to go to other high schools. And we're also receiving more students from Spanish-speaking countries. And so that accounts for the increase in numbers at the high school.
Any questions on that? Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so in terms of Illinois State Scholars, I know that that has traditionally been an issue here at the high school. One of the things that I know has happened in the past is that the students were not aware of the requirements to become an Illinois State Scholar. There's a formula that looks at grade point average along with ACT or SAT score or class rank. And so in my experience as a student, the counselor would go to you and say, based on your GPA, if you get around or your class rank, if you get around a 24 ACT, you'll be an Illinois State Scholar. So that's one of the things that I was encouraging the counselors to do, is to have conversations with those students in the top 10, 15% around what exact scores they would need to do to be eligible to be an Illinois State Scholar. Our lowest number of Illinois State Scholars was 6. That was in 1985, 2017, and 2020. The highest number of Illinois State Scholars was 2022, and that was at the number of 18. So here are, if you click on this, and we'll make sure that you get a copy of this, you actually have all of the names from the class of 84 Illinois State Scholars. And I just have to put in a plug for my sister who was here in 84, and myself in 86. And then if you click on that, and we'll make sure you get a copy, and you'll also look at each number for each year, the number of Illinois State Scholars for every year for every class. So the class of 84 is actually plaque 8485, and you'll see all of that. Any questions about that? Okay.
And we have those through last year?
Yes.
Okay.
We have it through here. Let me look at the names, and then we can go all the way down really quickly. I can't manipulate the date. Oh, I'm not going fast enough to I'm going to the bottom. Is that okay? All right. I can't filter it, so I'm just going to go to the bottom. Yep, 23, 24. That's the class of 2023. And you can see the names.
Great. So this would make it possible to honor them, at least in some form or fashion, ongoing, correct?
Oh, yes, and actually, Mr. Wilcox is going to come before the next, before business, so that he can explain what we wanted to do for our prestigious alumni.
Okay.
Also, in terms of our KCC Early College Program, we implemented the program in fiscal year 2019. At that time, we had 5 students in the program. Total credits attempted was 125. Total credits earned was 115. So the completion rate at that time was 92%. As of this current school year, we have 69 students at Kankakee Community College. Of course, we don't know the total credits attempted or earned, but last year, we had 47 students, 595 for the fall semester only, credits attempted. Total credits earned was 561, 94% completion rate with an average cumulative GPA of 2.99. And so we've increased the numbers of students attending KCC significantly since the first year, which was the class of 2019, or the fiscal year 2019.
Any questions from the board members? Thank you for putting this together.
Okay. And so as Mr. Wilcox comes up, I do want to talk about the accountability plan for the 23-24 school year. Defined Learning is a program to help the students understand how academics applies to careers. Starting in kindergarten, students are studying human services field. First grade is agriculture. Second grade, I believe, is health services, all the way to 5th grade when you get into the more technical fields. The purpose of Defined Learning is so that by the time a student graduates from high school, they have been exposed to a number of different career opportunities, and they understand how math, reading, social studies, and science applies to those particular fields. And we have Naviance and School Links. I don't think we've been as effective as I would have liked to be with Naviance. If Naviance was done effectively, students would be able to apply for, I think it's up to 50 colleges right away. We are transitioning to School Links, which actually you can feed the data from Skyward into School Links. So that's the reason for the recommendation and the approval to transition to School Links. The other thing that we're really focusing on is grade level instruction and assignments. As you know, in 2019, we found that 30% of instructional our assignments were at grade level, and we looked at our assignments from kindergarten, or at least from 1st grade through 12th grade. We were able to get to 79% by 2022. This year, we do want to monitor more closely the implementation of grade level instruction and assignments. We also want to collect additional data from the high school. We were not as effective in collecting data from the high school last school year. We were able to collect data from the K through 8 buildings. The other thing we want to really focus on in terms of adult practice is timely, meaningful feedback, meaning grades. We want our grades to go into our system as quickly as possible, which is the reason why we switched from Slate to Skyward. Now again, competency-based education was not Slate. Slate was the method of communicating with parents how their students were doing. And it wasn't used as effectively as we would like, so we transitioned to Skyward. So we are monitoring our teachers to make sure that they are giving grades in a timely fashion, and they're communicating with students and parents around how their students are doing. We've also have talked a lot about test prep and academic stamina. We want to really push for accountability around teaching students how to take a test and to increasing academic stamina so that students can sit for a test for an hour over time. In terms of student practices, we're asking parents and community members to make sure that the students are either in attendance if they're traditional or engaged in their learning if they're remote blended. After around September 15th, we will collect data on students that are not completing their work. We'll look at attendance, engagement, and work completion, and then all of the schools will have a method of talking to parents or communicating with parents around any issues that a student may have with attendance or work completion. And we also expect students to follow behavioral expectations. If adults if we're holding our adults accountable for the things that they're supposed to do, and we partner with the community and the parents in terms of holding students accountable for the things that they're supposed to do, I would say in a short period of time, you will see an impact on student growth, both in learning and behavior.
Is this dramatically different, or is there substantive differences between this plan and the plan for last year?
It's exactly the same. However, there was a struggle to hold adults and students accountable at the building level. However, I think we're on the road to making sure that the accountability is there.
Okay.
But it is not different. We have not added, other than school links, we haven't added any additional expectations, but we're really pushing to hold the adults and students accountable for the expectations that we've had in the past.
Any questions from any of the other board members? Okay, thank you very much.
I'm going to have Mr. Wilcox come up before the next presentation.
Good evening, Board of Education. Dr. Walters, I apologize already about my appearance. We had a sophomore home football game tonight, and then our soccer team is taking on BBCHS tonight at BB, so I'll be exiting quickly to go watch that. Just want to give you a quick update on, I think, some information maybe you have seen, just kind of where the conversation started, how to better celebrate academic successes, and in line with, that kind of led us into also how we celebrate our athletic successes and some other ideas. In my mind, just in a little, I'm going to use the word flashier way, a more exciting way, a little more in-depth way where people can learn more about our history. Specifically in this website, do I have the, actually, I do. Thanks, Keith. This is just generic. So we're working with a company called Rocket Alumni Solutions. This project, that's probably a little longer than I anticipated. We started with one company first through advice from another party, and we just didn't like the product we were receiving. We didn't like the accessibility, user-friendliness, those are things of that nature. We made the decision February, March to start having this conversation with this particular group who a lot of schools have recommended on a way to celebrate many different aspects of our building using technology. Just to give examples, Illinois State Scholars was mentioned tonight, where before, if I remember correctly, they were displayed just outside the East office. If you round that little corner, there was a segment of plaques with pictures for each year. Nice, not knocking them at all, but I wouldn't know them from Adam if I walked in and looked at those. Like I would know their name, where through this now you'll be able to click on a picture. I think there's some generic examples in here if I take it that far. If you guys have it. Let's see, sorry. Even this is valedictorians. It would be a similar example of this, but we're going to take it a step further where you can see the picture and then also give a brief description or history of who that person is. So it'd be some information about each person. In regards to Illinois State Scholars, we go far back as any other information, valedictorians, salutatorians, things of that nature. So really like the look of it, like the fact that these screens will be displayed in multiple places throughout the building. It also is an active website, so you could access it outside of school as well. You wouldn't necessarily have to be in the building to observe this information. To me, it's just an exciting way, and we would also then bring in the Athletic Hall of Fame, which were plaques that were in the east wall where the east hallway as you're leaving the building used to be, and then the Wall of Honor, which used to be in the cafeteria, would also be displayed through this program. So just kind of want to update you on that quickly. It's kind of moving that direction, hopefully to have this ready to be installed and displayed in some capacity when the community center opens. And then with that as well, I think it was also mentioned, or hopefully you guys have heard, an idea that's been around now for another year and a half or 2 years, this idea of a KHS prestigious alumni. I think something that's been missing from our school is we do celebrate athletics, which obviously I greatly appreciate, but we don't do enough to recognize a lot of the graduates that have gone done things beyond athletics. I know multiple judges, attorneys, people have done a lot of great things that are graduates of this place that I don't think we've done a great job of acknowledging, celebrating, and celebrating who those people are. And so very soon, you'll be seeing information coming out to where we're going to be asking the community to nominate people they know and their families, friends, that they believe would meet the criteria. I believe that information was shared with you. Is that, like you guys saw the ballot and some of the descriptors. It is a working draft. So open to ideas and inputs. We'll be forming a committee soon that would vote on those things with the idea, again, that we'd celebrate the inaugural KHS prestigious alumni sometime, hopefully December, January, February, to have our first class. So again, thank you for the time. Just wanted to give you guys a quick update on things we're working towards to celebrate all of our successes, not just athletics. Is there any questions about?
Any board member have any questions?
I do have a question.
Yes.
So did you say that this would be displayed in the buildings, like via some interactive screen or something?
Touchscreen, yes. There'd be
Okay.
probably, I think the plan right now in the high school would be at least 3 locations.
Okay.
Yeah, but like anywhere, probably similar size screen to what you see here. You'd be able to walk up and just touch it and explore the site and whatever avenue you wanted to look at.
I like that.
Yes.
Anybody else?
You know I want to say something.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Wait. I do.
You got to speak? or-
Well, he
or
looked right
He's
at
got to
me.
go to the
I
soccer
felt
game.
it, that's why.
Got to go to the
You
soccer.
can wait to the soccer game. I mean, I've been here through all of this stuff, through the valedictorian and salutatorian pictures, the plaques that had the state scholars for each year. They were 2 different things. They had, for every year, I don't even know how far back we went.
84. I mean, I knew that.
Okay, all right.
The building, that's correct.
And then with the athletic, which was the all-state kids. I watched, I mean, for holiday tournaments, countless holiday tournaments, I would watch people walk through and look at every picture, look at everything that they did, and then move on to the next one. And I don't know if anybody has enough time to sit there and punch, to look at a screen. I mean, I watched them, they would go up and down, and they would look at everything, and I thought that was pretty neat. And we're talking people that don't belong here. They were visitors.
That's our history.
And I would hate to give that up, because it's something like you just walk in, and there's those pictures, and everyone sees it, as opposed to a screen that you have to, well, where are they? I don't know. Is it up and running right now? No, is that way up? I don't know how they can get to it as easily as actual pictures. I mean, I understand what you're doing, and I think I like this, but could we do both? I mean, what would be the?
I think those are some things that can be discussed, yeah. And I would think we would just look to, a lot of people, when they have these screens displayed in their building, it's surrounded by some sort of mural, like something that would also help. It's not just a blank monitor on a wall, or something that would tell you what it is. And I would just add to the fact that, again, I've looked at the packs 1,000 times since I've been here, probably more. Whether we do both, the piece I like about this, if I walked up and looked at any of those athletes on the All-State, it's going to be able to click it, and I'm actually going to find out why, what they do, stats. You're able to have if we have game videos of these athletes performing, it's just going to take the chance to understand the history a little bit further. Again, not just in our hallways. Once this is out and shared, you can watch it from your home. You're able to explore history. It's just not a one-stop shop at the school. So I'm not against, that's not really probably my decision to do both. I'm open to both. I just like that this takes it to another level to where we can, I think, more information for people to understand more who those people are.
We did have one person that I would like to be on the committee, and one of her suggestions was to do the last 10 years in terms of the plaques, and then have them move into the computerized or the technical program, but to keep it up to date for the last 10 years. I thought that was a good suggestion. But that committee that won't consist of people that only are more athletic-minded will actually have some discussion about that. Sorry.
Who are you aiming that at?
Me, and she's aiming at me also. So. Any other questions?
No, I'm good.
No.
All right, thank you guys. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, we are up to finance.
Back to the superintendent report. It's back to the superintendent report. Yeah.
Technology.
First of all, good evening.
Good evening.
What I've attempted to do here successfully, and what I wish I had done, is put a footnote at the bottom of this to let you all know, as many of you are not new to this role as board members, that this is a snapshot of actual data for Kankakee School District 111 that depicts multiple years of the ebbs and flows of our financial strength. And of course, happy to report that we are in a very good stance financially. The last few years, some very wise decisions have been made surrounding utilization of ESSER funds, not only the investment in facilities, but also the required investment in instruction. So what this picture is just showing you is how we have fared the past 10 years with school finance. What this slide does not depict, and this is something I've spoken with Dr. Walters about, is many of you know that we are on what's considered a cash basis of accounting. And sometimes in the near future, I'm going to lift to the Finance Committee first and then to the full board about possibly converting from a cash basis to an accrual basis of accounting. The purpose of doing that is we always receive what's called a qualified opinion, which is a rank down from the highest level of financial ranking from generally accepted accounting principles. If you convert to an accrual basis of accounting, you can get what's called an unqualified opinion, which is the highest financial rating. And while day to day it doesn't mean a whole lot, as we are now about to go into a bond sale, that means a lot to potential investors because they know that we've been scrutinized a lot more closely by having that unqualified opinion. So again, purpose of this slide is just to give you a 10-year depiction of how we fared in terms of our financial strength. This next slide, same depiction, but there are very critical formulas that ISB looks at. Highest being a 4.0, that's the highest financial profile score that you can receive from ISB. We have not made it to a 4.0, but we are at approximately a 3.55, which is considered recognition. The next qualification would be, it's not warning, watch, then warning, then cans falling out. But we're in a very good state financially with a 3.55, and of course, we're currently under audit for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2023. And I'll yield for any questions.
Any questions, anybody? Any board member? Thank you for that report. And moving to HR.
Good evening, Board of Education, Dr. Walters. So I'm just going to give you some human resource data starting from the 2014 to the 2015 school year up until this current school year. So I'm just going to go over the number of employees, and this is district-wide. So this is just not teachers, but these are all of our employees, male, female, race. So 2014-15, as you can see, we had 122 males, 397 females, 108 African American, 367 Caucasian, 37 Hispanic, and then 7 other. 15-16, male 199, females 668, African American 199, Caucasian 610, Hispanic 50, and other 8. 2016-17, 184 males, 620 females, 188 African Americans, 560 Caucasians, 49 Hispanics, and 8 other. As you can see the data, I'm just going to then go down to 2021, the 2021-22 school year. For males, 227, 660 female, 271 African Americans, 518 Caucasian, 68 Hispanic, and 21 other. In the 2022-2023 school year, 264 males, 663 female, 349 African American, 472 Caucasian, 86 Hispanic, and 20 other. And then currently for the 2023-2024 school year, 264 male, 641 female, 369 African Americans, 440 Caucasians, 80 Hispanics, and 16 other. So I just want to show the trend of our male, female, and by race, what Kankakee School District 111 has progressed from 2014 until 2023. Are there any questions?
Any questions for the board? Thank you for putting that together. I don't see any questions. Thank you. Okay, moving on to the agenda, we're to the public comment portion. When you are addressing the board and the microphone is right in the center of the lower level here, please give your name, direct your comments to the board. We will recognize you as who wish to make comments that have signed in regarding any topics related to school district business. We will take all comments under advisement without discussion or response, which means the board will not respond tonight. If a member of the public raises an issue or concern that requires follow-up, I will or the superintendent will do so in a timely manner. Please give your names and direct your comments to me. Comments are limited to 5 minutes. All individuals are to conduct themselves with respect and civility towards others and without personal attacks. We would ask Cornelia Farrell. I believe she's on the list.
Good evening, board members.
Good evening.
And Dr. Walters. Coming to you regarding the uniform policy. Parents went out and bought uniforms during inflation and made sacrifices only to be called to pick up their students from school on Tuesday, the second day of school. Kankakee High School administrators sent home 65 to 200 students because they had on school uniforms. However, staff didn't like something about their uniform, for instance, the type of material, the cloth, length, the short skirts. Some staff was measuring from palms, fingers, or even acrylic nail lengths. Administrators wanted to touch student clothing because they was unsure of what it was. Kankakee High School already have a hard time getting students to school, and when they arrive, they are told that we don't want them here and you are not getting your education, because basically they being sent home for uniform policy. Then we have students who didn't even consider putting on a uniform that day. They had on jeans, t-shirts, athletic pants, whatever, and they sitting in class getting their education. The principal talked to them and allowed them to stay at school. Well, my honor student was sent home and she missed her class instruction time. My daughter came to school on Friday, school spirit day, with leggings and t-shirt on. As soon as she walked through the door, the innovative administrator, director of security, and the security staff that normally sits at the front desk told her that she needed to go home. They even followed her outside while she called me, even offered to get her transportation. However, another student walked in with the same exact thing in, and they're allowed to go to class. It was several students in the building that had on leggings, athletic wear, and if we truly address the uniform policy, probably half of the building would have been sent home either day. And that was only 3 days worth of school. I went to go to, let's see, it was even a student that was in class where a sophomore administrator and a security guard, they had on pajama pants, red and black, sitting right by the door, and you was able to see them. And they got to stay at school, but my child had to be leave school and escorted, make sure she got out the building. The dress code policy isn't being enforced equally. There are several students that is in class and not in compliance. People working in corporate America getting paid for jobs, they consider leggings and jeggings part of the dress code policy. I am asking you to relax the dress code policy because parents are having a difficult time finding bottoms that fit their children, especially me because my daughter is tall and thin. State law doesn't require us to have a uniform policy, but they do require me to send my child to school. And that's what I did, and y'all putting her out of school. We have bigger issues I feel like to worry about. Is fights constantly going on. Just the 3 days, we had, 3 or 4 fights, and they was allegedly in uniform policy. So uniforms don't stop the violence. It doesn't help with education if they learn it, if they're not learning. It doesn't change behavior because kids going to do what they want to do or whatever they feel, or if they're influenced to do along the way. But we have a serious concern because our buildings are at 4th, 5th grade levels for math and reading, and you can't even send them down to Shapiro or any other business to get a job because they test them at 8th grade level. So I just figure we have a bigger issue to worry about. I love the renovations, the track, the field house, all that, but we need to focus back on the education and keeping our kids in school. And I can show you an example of what my daughter wore to school. On Tuesday, she had on a white uniform shirt, her shorts. They came to her palm, but not to her fingers because she's tall. On Friday, she had on athletic t-shirt with leggings, and several other students had on leggings, probably half of the females. The boys been wearing these athletic pants, basketball shorts, and they're not being sent home. So if my child wear it, I don't expect her to be sent home either. We have to come to a resolution of how we gonna keep our students in school and not being sent home or told to sit in the auditorium for a uniform violation because they cannot receive their education in the auditorium or at home.
Ms. Farrell, thank you very much. Next is Luke Shepard.
School Board,
Good evening.
Good evening.
Dr. Walters. My name is Luke Shepard, lifelong resident of School District 111. Been in emergency services for 30-plus years. I have a concern about vehicle movement in the back parking lot. And I understand I was not able to make Friday's game. I had to go to a wedding instead. I would much rather been here. But my concern is, and I know you guys seen the classes out there. I've definitely seen them. It's not if it happens or when it happens. And I'm not going to go to the worst of the worst. But I've been in the back parking lot, and I understand there were some changes for Friday's game. But that still doesn't stop an incident from happening, or when an incident does happen, I should say, be it weather, bad storm shows up right away, be it a heart attack, be it a fight, be it somebody accidentally hits pepper spray, whatever the incident is, I have a feeling emergency vehicles will not get back there. I understand what we did, or was told what happened on Friday night, which I think is great, but you cannot control the individual. And once the people hit their cars and starts moving out of there with one way in and one way out, emergency vehicles will not be able to get back there. I've been to enough games back there, be it track, be it football, be it baseball, with multiple things going on. People cannot get out once the cars start moving out of that parking lot. My suggestion is, because it's halfway there already, and I'm not asking for a golden brick road, I'm not asking for the best highway out there in the world, the Autobahn. You have a road that goes to the water tower, I think where I'm at over here, it's gated off. My suggestion is it's just gravel road. And at the end of it, go in between the new building and the softball field and put a gate up. I had the question, well, how are you going to get in the gates if they're locked? Almost every emergency vehicle will be able to get through there because we have master locks or master keys. Well, what if people start coming out that way? Those gates will be secured by your security or fire, police, EMS, that the only thing that will use that is for emergency vehicles only. Will it ever be used? Hopefully not, but it's a way in for emergency vehicles. One of the studies that came out of the Olympic bombing in, which that's the worst of the worst, Olympic bombing in Atlanta, was EMS personnel could not get to the scene, the actual scene itself, because everyone was running away. That's the issue I have. If something happens down there, no matter if it's weather, no matter after the game's over and someone's walking to the car and has a heart attack, and you can't get emergency vehicles down there. That's my issue. So I hope you take it into consideration. I'm not asking for anything major to be built, but a secured location that emergency vehicles, no matter who it is, can get in a timely manner. Because if all the cars are going out, your emergency vehicles are going to be stuck on Jeffrey. So I hope you think about that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, moving along, we're to the consent agenda. Are there any board members seeking to remove anything from the consent agenda or having questions about anything on the consent agenda?
I have to abstain on one of the issues.
Okay, when we get there, when your
Okay.
name is called, tell us what you're abstaining on. Anything else? Anybody else have any questions or issues? Okay, we need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Gathing,
Second.
second by Ms. Baronis. Please call the roll.
Archie,
Yes.
Baronis,
Yes.
Gathing,
Yes.
Johnston,
Yes, except for number 7, about the approval appointment of extra duty. I'm on that,
Verret,
kind of.
Yes, I need to abstain, number 5.
Williams,
Yes.
Bolin,
Yes. Motion carries 7-0. Moving on to action items. The first is a resolution for the issuance of the working cash or the general obligation limited tax school bonds or the working cash fund bonds, the issuance amount of $7 million. May I have a motion to approve that resolution?
So moved.
Moved by Gathing. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Johnson. Please, any questions, any discussion? Please call the roll.
Baronis,
Yes.
Gathing,
Yes.
Johnston,
Yes,
Verret,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Archie,
Yes.
Bolin,
Yes. Motion carries, 7 ayes, 0 nays. Next is number 2, the approval of the resolution to appoint Robert Grossi as school treasurer of Kankakee School District 111. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Gathing. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by whom?
Me.
Johnston.
By Ms.
Johnson.
Johnson. Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll.
Gathing,
Yes.
Johnston.
Yes.
Verret,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Archie,
Yes.
Baronis. Yes. Bolin,
Yes. Next is number 3, approval of the transition site lease. Need a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Gathing, seconded by Johnston. Any discussion or any questions? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Johnston,
Yes.
Verret,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Archie,
Yes.
Baronis. Yes. Gathing,
Yes.
Bolin,
Yes. Motion carries, 7 ayes, 0 nays. Moving on to old business, just a couple of comments. To those of you who participated in the focus groups regarding the superintendent search, you have our gratitude. They went extremely well, and they gained a lot of information about what it is that our school district and the people who live in the district and work in the district want in terms of the qualities of a new superintendent. The next thing that will happen is there will be a public survey published, and that will, I think that's going to be on our website as well as theirs.
Yeah, it's going to go out to Friday. It's going to go out Friday the 1st and be open till Friday, I think, the 7th.
I believe that's correct. So if those, is it 8th?
Yes, the 8th.
If those of you who participated or weren't able to participate know of people or want to participate yourselves in that survey, it will be added, the information obtained from that will be added to the information that was gathered from the focus groups. But it's moving along at exactly the schedule that we set for it to move along. But we couldn't have done the last Friday sessions without those members of the public who volunteered to do that, and members of the administration, the members of the staff, teaching staff, members of the non-teaching staff, and parents who all participated. And again, thank you very much. One other comment, I see a number of administrators here, I see some directors, I see a number of persons who are involved in the district. Thank you for being here. Please invite your friends who are not here, because I think it's very important for you as administrators or teachers or any other connection to the district, in addition, obviously, to parents and public. But for you to be here, I think, speaks well and says a great deal about your interest in the district. So I thank you for being here, and I hope to see even more of your compatriots at the next meeting. You have the FOIA requests, calendar notes. There's no school on Labor Day, and our next board meeting is September 11th. Any other business from any of the board members or comments from any of the board members? Ms. Verret? Any questions, any issues? Later. Ms. Johnston?
No, I'm good.
Ms. Archie?
Not at this moment.
Okay. Mr. Gavick?
None.
Ms. Broadus?
None.
Okay, thank you. We need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Gathing,
Second.
seconded by Johnston. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
The meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.
Ooh, it's early.
Yeah.
Yes,
Mary.
I guess